Good morning, listeners. My name is Christian.
And my name is Micah.
And my name's Josiah, and this is the Morning Ponderings podcast.
It's the podcast where we explore the possibilities allotted to us by our limited knowledge and understanding.
And the goal of that is so that empathy for others can flourish.
Hey, that was like the smoothest intro we've all three done in a while.
Probably.
That's because I had the easiest
just been
part.
a while.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
I always mentally derail
did it.
myself every time. So,
I mean, whenever I shoot a TikTok, like I have to take like 3 or 4 takes each section usually. So I totally get it.
oh yeah.
Speaking of TikTok,
Yeah.
I recently went private for a number of different reasons, but any listeners who want to follow me there, will give our contacts at the end, but you'll just have to send me a request to follow, and then I will either accept or reject. Essentially, my decision with going private, the whole purpose I turned to TikTok for was to engage with people with my questions. And I had already been doing the same sort of thing for a long time on other platforms, like in Facebook groups and stuff, constantly trying to engage specifically with the people who would disagree with me so I can learn and grow. And then if I should ever happen to come to a place where I agree with the people who once disagreed with me, then I would just turn my questions back the other way and try and move the other way. And by doing that, constantly moving back and forth, trying to maintain a good center and a good balance. The problem is that the demographic targeted by my more recent endeavors is not a big fan of. There's a lot of feelings of being threatened by my questions and threatened to engage, or feelings of being under attack, and I don't really get the brunt of that. Usually my wife hears about it, and then she has to do the damage control, and it's not really fair of me to put that on her. So I decided to go private. I feel like I don't want to jeopardize certain relationships that I have, and I think I've made my seeking my presence known enough that people can know that I'm a safe place to come to if they need to come to somebody about their own journey. And it's just it's kind of that space. And also I have not really been learning anything new despite my efforts from those few people who have responded. A couple have been helpfhelpful. Like I think her name is the Crispy Millennial now on TikTok. She was probably one of the ones who was really helpful. She helped me remember kind of to consider other possibilities. But yeah, that was a bit of an aside for anybody who's wondering what happened to Truth Voyager's TikTok.
Yeah. Well, I like want to say sorry. Like that's kind of a, I guess, unfortunate situation to find yourself in, because like on the one hand, I think everybody deserves to have like a safe space to share. And then also for that place, like you said, you wanted it to be safe for other people. And, it eventually became something that, at least at the moment, isn't kind of serving that purpose. And that's kind of a bummer. So I'm sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We still have this and more interpersonal conversation that can occur. There's been some people in my wife and I's lives who seem like they're willing and open-minded enough to engage in cool and productive conversations. So I look forward to those conversations. But yeah, I'm just kind of in a place where I'm going to be existing for a little while, and we'll see when that maybe changes.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally get that. I actively do things that make it impossible for me to be famous on TikTok, like mixing up my content, spam posting a bunch, and then just not posting for a week and a half. It
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
keeps this community of people around me that know me and like me, and then I very rarely get like hate comments. Like I think the last one I got was when I was talking about strikes and somebody was like, commies should be put on a cross.
Wow.
And I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay, and I just deleted the comment and blocked him
Yep.
because I was like,
Good move.
I'm not dealing with this.
That is awful. Wow.
Yeah,
People-
the best part is that if I just rephrased it and not used the communist tags, he would have been like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, got to stand up against these big corporations." But anyway, that's me derailing this conversation.
Yeah.
At some point, I think it'd be fun to do a topic diving into the topic of economics. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge or like insights into that, but it'd be fun to
Yeah.
talk about it in the surface level way that I can. And I don't know
Yeah.
how much you guys have dove into it, and so I'd be really interested to glean your guys' thoughts.
I mean, I'm in a
So that'd be a
business
fun topic.
major,
Either
so
we'll see.
I've taken several economics classes. Not that that means anything. But I have taken quite a few economics classes, and actually part of what started my journey to the economic left was one of my professors in college, who was not a Marxist, explained Levitical economics, and he explained basically in the Bible how like the economic system of ancient Israel was designed to keep people from being too rich and to keep anybody from being homeless or starving. Like that's what the laws in Leviticus do. And I was like, oh, this is like a God law thing. So like if we're not doing this, like this is like an economic system that God was like, yeah, I support this. And we don't do that. So that seems like
Right.
a problem.
I feel like the tendency is for people to assume like, oh yeah, that's totally what the system would be in a perfect world, such as heaven. So like that's what we're going to go towards when we all die and resurrect, but it's not
Yeah.
possible or conceivable in this world. And that's like something I hear pretty often.
Definitely at the
But I
time
also
I
don't
was
buy
like
that.
Yeah.
I think at the time I was like, this works in a theocracy where everybody believes in the same thing, but it doesn't work in the real world. And then I was like, okay, but maybe it should work, and maybe I should just support things that would be good for everybody and not just throw my hands up in the air and be like, oh no, that's never gonna work.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest cop outs is just like, oh, that's not possible, so let's not even try. And
Yeah,
that
exactly.
just doesn't even come close to satisfactory for me.
Yeah.
Especially because that, I mean, I feel like we somewhat talked about that in our like heaven and hell episodes, where it's like that's used as an excuse to basically trash the earth and do nothing. And like, it's like, that's a horrible philosophy. Like, that's not a good philosophy to live by, because this earth matters too. And the people who are living right now matter. Like, this life matters too.
And depending on your interpretation of Christianity, this world may very well be the same world that we have when the kingdom has come.
Yeah. Or if
So-
you're like me, you might think it might be your only world. So I sure want to take care of it.
Possibility too. Yeah. I had a conversation recently with somebody about like economic systems, and they didn't really give me any. It was really sad. They basically just came in, and at first it sounded like the conversation might go in a productive direction. And at one point, it even sounded like we came to a point of agreement and that the conversation would end there. But then, like throughout the weekend, which I don't really engage with TikTok over the weekend, but throughout the weekend, they just kept returning to that video, posting comments, and the comments got more degrading and more belittling and more. And this whole time, I was just asking questions like, there was a time, sure, they were trying to say like, well, historically, if you knew, historically, when they tried to implement systems of socialism and communism, which wasn't even what I was suggesting, um, every time it was somebody trying to force their power and will over somebody else, and so many people had to die. And I was like, but every day that passes, we are progressing as a species technologically, where things that were once impossible are no longer impossible. I even mentioned at one point how like Elon Musk has this desire to go to Mars and settle it. And in order to do that, he's probably going to have to build some robotic infrastructure that's able to then be sent to Mars to terraform the land and grow crops and automate the entire food production process so that it can prepare a space for settlers to come into. And so that's already an incentive of Elon's. So if the government just comes up alongside him and says, hey, we'll subsidize that infrastructure with the understanding that it'll also be used to provide free food to people here on Earth, like that's I don't know how feasible that possibility is, but it makes sense to me. Like you don't have to force anybody in that certain area. You already have somebody who has those incentives. You just have to incentivize or enable the production of that. And it's just, I don't know a whole lot, but it seems like you guys said extremely weak to just toss it out and be like, oh well, there's these problems, so we should just give up on it.
Pearl, stop it.
Yeah.
Sorry about my dog.
Yeah.
I mean, problems with like what he said is things like the socialism communism thing is that this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is like stuff that the CIA has admitted to because they were forced to. But like every time that a socialist or a communist leader was democratically elected in a Latin American country, the CIA staged a coup and used private military contractors and stuff to basically force a country into starvation and then establish a dictatorial leader to make communism look bad, just in the name of like American supremacy. And then that kept Americans from ever questioning, because communism is inherently an anti-government position. So the government has a massive interest in keeping communism from becoming like a dominant ideology in America. So the CIA did that stuff. But also, like, we have enough food for everybody on the planet. Just, like, think about this. We don't grow food to feed people. We grow food to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that was funny, too, because this person I was talking to made that same point. It was like, well, we've solved world hunger forever ago. We have more food than we need. It's accessibility. That's the problem. I was like, you kind of just made the point. Like, and then they were talking about how, like...
That's the point. Thank you.
Yeah, and they were kind of talking about how, like... how what was I gonna say? How their company, they own a company, donates money to a charity that grows food in deserts. And so I'm just like thinking, okay, well, are they giving that food away for free? Or are you just funding a for profit? Like if they're giving away the money for free, then once again, you've made my point for me. But if they're doing it for profit, then what? You're not actually solving the problem. Their food is still inaccessible. So it was a real dead end conversation, and it was tough. Like with the amount of conclusions, with the amount of assumptions that he made about me, and the conclusions he jumped to, I had no reason to believe that he didn't approach every other point that he might make with just as much assumptions and the conclusion jumping. I just didn't have the energy to sort it all out. So if he has any legitimate things to say, it can come from someone else.
It's really hard to argue with somebody who does, like, in order to address their point, you have to address like 15 misconceptions that led up to that point. And you have to be like, hey, I'm on a different, like, we're not at the same place right now where we can have this discussion. We have to come back to here and discuss this point before I am ready to address you at this point.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Because it's just like you're making these assumptions that I don't agree with, and like we have to walk it back and, you know, take care of that problem. But yeah, it is incredibly exhausting. I don't tend to argue with people on the internet, but sometimes I do. And the only video that I have where I argued with people was like my third most famous video for a while.
That happens.
Getting into those arguments gets the views, man. gets the comments, the engagement
That's
points.
true. You get those hate likes, you get those hate views.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more than happy to engage in conversation and debate with people, so long as they're not just immediately jumping, like, it's the assumptions and the conclusion jumping about me personally that just makes me
Yeah.
not interested in the conversation. Because if you don't have any interest, if you're more interested in what you think I'm trying to say than what I think I'm trying to say, then it's not going to go anywhere and it's a lost cause.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a lack of um like intellectual honesty and integrity. And you can't really have a conversation if if people don't start there, you know? And
Mm.
like if they're not
Yeah.
interested in having any integrity at all in the conversation, then it's not worth having a conversation because they're not gonna like get better over time. They're just gonna continue to derail everything and basically make ad hominem attacks on you when it's like this isn't even about me. Like, like
Mhm.
there you go. So anyway,
Yep.
how's y'all's week?
I got a
Last couple
D&D
weeks.
session 2 today, so that'll be fun.
Hey, how's that been going for you? Like, you had 2 sessions so far. How's it panned
I've
out? What
had one
lessons have you
session.
learned? Oh, just
Um,
session 2 coming up.
yeah. So in my last one, I learned, okay, so first of all, I remembered, and I'm going to remember today, to add either strength or dex modifiers to attack and damage rolls.
Yeah, it's
That would
important.
have ended combat a little bit quicker last time.
Oh,
But yeah, I learned just how much like world I need to build around my settings because players like to derail things. And all of them know that they're doing it too. Like they weren't just like unintentionally stumbling around. They were like, yeah, we know that we're supposed to do this, but we're gonna do this real quick instead, and then get back on track.
Hmm.
Which was funny, to be fair. So I'm planning for it so that it can be funny again, but this time I have more stuff for like, so that it's not like boring on my part. My interaction isn't boring with them. But yeah, nothing crazy so far. I've just been making like stat blocks and stuff for NPCs, and I got a bunch of like maps drawn out and stuff. But yeah, it'll be fun.
nice.
Super cool.
How about you, Christian? How are you
Let's
doing?
see. It's been crazy. I mean, having 2 kids, one a toddler and one an infant, just trying to keep up with them is exhausting, but it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
Um, my son, my 2-year-old, he'll just say the craziest things sometimes. Oh man, he broke my heart the other night. We've transitioned. It was a while ago. We've been at this system for months now, like probably 4 months. Wow, it's only been that long, maybe 6 months. But a while ago, we transitioned to a system where we have this light in his bedroom that's Bluetooth light, and we can change the color of the light based or with our phone, and we can have different meanings assigned to the colors of those lights. So, like when it's purple, that means it's time for us to just snuggle and cuddle in bed, maybe read a book, play a little bit before bed. It's also like teeth brushing time. When it turns orange, we get our final snuggles, and then I tuck him in, and it's good night. And then when it's blue, that's when it's time for him to get up in the morning. It's a nice way to make the whole process less personal, so that he doesn't think that we're doing these things because of something he did wrong, and that he's not allowed to be out of the bedroom because of something he did and he's in trouble or something. So it's a nice non-personal way to do that, or at least so I thought. The other night, I went in there to he came down with like an ear infection the other week, and so we were giving him medicine. I think I had to go in there to give him his final dose of medicine in the midst of the night. And after doing that, usually, so it's not just like a quick thing. I kind of go through the bedtime process with him again, in that I turn the light purple, I go in there, I give it to him, then we cuddle a little bit, and then it goes orange, and then I tuck him in and go. So I was cuddling with him this time, and he looks at me and he says, "Levi knows that Daddy wants to go bye bye." I was just like,
Oh.
I mean, I
Oh.
don't. I mean, kind of. I want to go snuggle with your mom in bed, but
Oh.
you're not supposed to know that. And it kind of broke my heart. And it was like, how is my 2-year-old having such big thoughts at night like this? Like, I
Yeah.
know that daddy wants, like, he's thinking about another person's wants in relation to himself
Wow.
and expressing it so clearly. And it's like, oh man, I don't know how to handle this as a father.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
Oh.
no, no. I was like, all right, we're giving you some extra long cuddles tonight before I go. And I'm definitely going to emphasize that I'm going because the light's orange and not because I want to. Because if I love snuggling with you, I really do. But man, this those sorts of big thoughts I've been coming up, not always so drastic and deep and somewhat depressing, but
Yeah.
he's been
Yeah.
having a lot of those big thoughts lately. And some of them are really cool. It's like, whoa, my 2-year-old just said or thought of that. And that's been wonderful.
Yeah.
But
Man.
yeah, parenthood.
Yeah. I have no advice to give you because I'm not, I have no experience.
Someday, right?
But
Maybe, if
maybe
that's what you decide to
we'll
do.
see. We'll see. Well, I've had the
What about you,
craziest,
Micah?
I've had the craziest 2 weeks like ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, what I'm trying to even backtrack what all the just madness that happened in the last 2 weeks. Well, one of the main things that happened was my car broke down, and that was very sad because I very much loved that car. It was a Toyota
Is it
RAV4.
like dead,
It's gone, yeah.
or
No, it's dead.
oh,
So basically, I was driving home and it started like just grinding and making really loud noise, and then it lost all of its power. And I like barely rolled
oh,
into a Firestone, and I like had them check it in the morning. They're like, "Yeah, your transmission is out or something's wrong with it, and we don't do transmission work, so you got to get it towed somewhere else." So I'm like calling around the next day and like eventually find a place that like was recommended. So I like get it towed there. The tow guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, somebody cut off the catalytic converter on your car," which is like depending on your car, $500 to like $2,000 fix. It ended up,
somebody, so like an intentional sabotage?
yeah. Well, it's a part people have been stealing a lot and selling on the like black market basically. So yeah, that got stolen off, and I was like, this is wonderful. And then I get a call from the transmission place eventually, and they're like, "Yeah, your transmission's like really bad." They're like, "It's
Mm,
gonna cost you basically for total repairs, including a new cat converter, was gonna be $5,700." And I was like, "That is like right at what the car is even worth because it's got 238,000 miles on it." So I said, "That's not worth it." Um, so I called this junk company that buys junk cars, and they actually offered me like a lot of money for it. Even though I
there you
told them
go.
it doesn't run, and they're like, okay, they bought it. And I was like, cool. So it ended up kind of working out. But then, oh, what happened next? Well, our furnace stopped working for a day, which was very scary because it's getting
Mm,
cold. That just like freaked us out. And
mhm.
so like all this is like just constant stress, like freaking with this car, and now we got to buy a new car, which we're gonna probably purchase it off of my wife's dad, because he kind of has an extra car, and so that's kind of
Mm.
working out. But then our
I swear
furnace,
you and I are living like parallel lives or something, because
really,
very similar things have happened. And I had forgotten about them, but I want to let you finish before I go
dang,
into that.
yeah. Well, luckily, called a furnace repair dude. He comes over, and it was just like it took him 3 minutes to fix it. It was just clogged with like a bunch of basically rust that had fallen down the pipe into the starter, and he just like basically cleaned it out real quick, and it started up. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And so that ended up not costing me a whole new HVAC system, which would have been horrible. Bad timing because we've already poured a lot of money into this house, and
Mm.
we can't keep doing that. So everything is somewhat worked out in the end, but man, the stress, the absolute stress. And
Hmm.
what is maybe most exciting is today, well, I guess last night was our first night actually sleeping at the house. And so now we are like moved in. It's a disaster, but we're here and we're really excited and it looks amazing in here. So,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
literally have
like
been. I'm like half asleep. I didn't realize that you're in that house.
As of last night. Oh, right
Yeah.
now
yeah.
you didn't realize that. Oh my gosh.
No, yeah, I was looking at you in a room that I've been in several times, and I was like,
You
"That's
helped
a
paint this room.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
I helped paint that room.
You did. Yep.
I didn't even realize that it wasn't your normal spot.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Parallels. Like owning cars and houses can just be an absolute pain in the butt. Like the other
Yeah.
year, and we still haven't gotten it fixed to this day. But the other year, my wife and I's AC went out, and we just had a hot summer. Like we didn't, we tried getting it fixed, and it just couldn't get fixed. And
Yeah.
then this year, we knew that it still wasn't working, and we tried to hold out for a little bit, and we were like, no, this is not going to work. So I went out and I spent like $530 in credit card debt to get this massive AC unit, and it's been a lot better since we got that massive window AC unit. But yeah, that has not been fun. And then recently we had a whole Sega of events with a car that we tried to buy.
Oh no.
um yeah, we bought it off my sister. It was a Subaru Outback, 2005, I think.
Okay.
And the first thing that went wrong with it, I swear this car is cursed. The first thing
Oh
that went wrong with it was it has a really weird, like gear shifting kind of
yeah.
layout that's kind of confusing. And so it was driven in manual for about 2 miles and without realizing it, and that was not good on it, and that actually split the engine. So
Oh.
then that was on the drive home after purchasing it, by the way.
Oh.
So we immediately had to send it to get that fixed. And so what was going to be like the price that it ended up costing us like increased by an entire third.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
so we took it to get those repairs. It finally got those repairs after a long time, several months. We finally got it. We brought it home.
Wow.
And then the very next time I went to drive it, the engine light came on and it like did a weird sputtering thing. So I called the Subaru repair place again. I was like, hey, something's going up. So they had me bring it back down there and they looked at it and the caps were loose or something like that. So they had to fix that for another chunk of money. And then at that point,
Oh.
we're like, oh my gosh, this thing almost isn't even worth it. But we finally got it back. It was finally running. Everything was looking great. My wife was driving it.
Mhm.
She had just started, I think she'd just come back from work and she decided she was going to go to the grocery store and grab some extra groceries. She's on her way there and she stops at a red light and gets rear-ended.
Oh my gosh.
And that was within the last couple weeks.
Ah.
And so the insurance people take a look at it. Fortunately, she's completely okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
Good.
car was apparently a total loss. And
Oh,
so
Oh my gosh.
we just ended up selling it to the insurance company and now we're back to one car and we went through
dude.
all that and we only had this car for maybe 4 trips and it's just
Oh, dude. That's awful.
yep, not fun.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I
That's
get what you mean by the
so
car
bad.
problems.
Oh gosh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
But
feel like I got the better end of my deal. Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
isn't a competition. This is more just trying to
No.
relate. But
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's
Well,
that's
I can compete. I made a potato soup the other night, and it was honestly perfect. I wish that I had an unlimited supply of that potato soup. Yeah, I'm really
only
sad that it's gone now
congratulations,
because I
you are
ate it all.
victorious.
wow,
I,
you're
I ate it all and now it's all gone, and I'm gonna be eternally depressed now, until I make it again.
I will not understand how your mind goes from cars to potato soup, but
Well,
you
hey,
know,
listen.
Well,
You
hey,
said that you
speaking
wanted
of
to
good
do
news,
an episode that was like a positive, like just really quick. And all we're doing is talking about how depressed we are.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
I
That's
mean,
fair. We're just being real. The holidays are not always
I mean,
super
speaking of good
joyful.
news, though,
that is true.
I turned 27 recently.
Ayo, happy birthday!
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Well, I
Oof,
mean,
don't
it was on the
remind me that I
14th, so
turned 26
it
at
was
the end
like
of this month.
5 days ago. Yeah, I turned
nice.
27. That's good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it. But I feel kind of good.
Yeah, you're
And
the old.
despite all the craziness that went on, life is kind of settling down a little bit. So
Oh, that's good. I'm hoping
yeah,
mine will too. Um,
there's
it's
a
not.
light at the end of the tunnel.
It's in
God
a
is
few
not
months.
punishing us for our heathenry.
Right. Right. Yeah. Hope not.
Right?
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
So I listened to your guys' episode on
Oh yeah.
free will and determinism the other week, which I hadn't gotten to listen to before we recorded the previous episode, so I didn't really ever get a chance to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun, and I have a
was.
little to contribute. This is
Go for
all
it.
very third hands limited knowledge that I have of quantum physics because my father-in-law does quantum computing stuff for a living.
Whoa.
So this is what I've gleaned from him in the most incomplete, flawed way imaginable, I imagine. So the fundamental building blocks of our reality exist in a quantum superposition in such a way where it is impossible to determine the state of reality unless you use this weird superpower that life has to observe it, which causes the quantum state, the superposition nature of our reality to collapse down into something which serves or tortures us. So we might have this superpower as living beings to bend the superposition world around us using something called quantum gates, which cause the reality we exist in to change into whatever we choose it to be. Not necessarily in a matrixy kind of super reality warping kind of way, but maybe more in I can take action and autonomy in this reality to do free will things. There we go. There's our heady topic for the day.
All right, I'm gonna need that.
Okay, interesting.
In fourth grade language.
I'm gonna need that in. I have time to actually look at this.
The reality that
for
we
right
exist
now,
in
I'm
is a
just
bunch of
gonna-
dice in a dryer.
Gotcha.
And then when
So-
we
I
choose
was-
to open the dryer and look at it, that's when reality is made.
wow. So you're saying is that pro free will then? Is that we do have
That's
free
a pro
will?
free will position.
okay.
I think that's pro free will.
yeah.
That's hogwash. I'm just kidding.
Oh, did I convert you last time? Did I make you a no free will guy?
You kind of did in a little bit.
I
More
had
as a
a
thought
friend who
experiment, though.
agreed with me, and then I had a friend who didn't agree with me. And my friend who didn't agree with me, I was like, yeah, I'm really not trying to convince you that free will doesn't exist. I don't care.
I will say that my rudimentary understanding of quantum physics does not reflect upon my father-in-law's understanding of quantum physics. So if what I just said made a bunch of quantum physicians, no, that's
Yeah.
like a doctor.
Oh.
Quantum physics people like cringe. Don't give him funny looks.
Hey,
Just
I'd be
kidding. Does that-
impressed if we had some people who do quantum physics
Physicists.
listening to our podcast. But who knows? You never know.
I was trying to figure it. Well, there's a lot of people that like yours truly, who looked at something about quantum physics in high school and was like, ha, casuals, this is easy. I understand the nature of our universe to a T. That definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then since that cringe got brought up, I'm going to roll a D4 psych damage.
Oh my gosh.
I got a 2.
I wouldn't say that you convinced me
I'll
of
roll
anything.
a D20 to see if it hits. Don't worry, I rolled a 4, so it missed.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't say you convinced me of determinism, but it definitely became something that consumed my thoughts for like the last 2 weeks. Just as something of like, well, what if, like, how does that change how I view reality if that's the case? And it's not necessarily that I think determinism is, I guess, the correct way that the world functions, but it was, it did become a very interesting thought experiment of like, how would that change how I view other people and how I pursue justice? And I was like, that's really interesting. So, I mean,
because me as a proponent of that was somebody who has had experience with that philosophy and like researching it and stuff. Like I studied that philosophy multiple times in high school and college, in my philosophy classes, my apologetics class, which it was basically just a philosophy class. And so like I was coming at it from that angle and you were coming at it from like, not having studied it that much, so it wasn't really a balanced discussion necessarily. It was more like me throwing out an idea and then you trying to kind of pick apart at it and see what was there and what wasn't. So
yep, pretty much.
Anyway, I just hope that episode didn't depress anybody.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Speaking of like determinism, if we manage to break the code of the human brain such that we could go in and examine it like the hard drive of a computer, would it be more or less ethical to go into a criminal's brain and rewire it such that they have no desire to do crime?
Less.
I could see it being unethical if like their drive to do crime is out of necessity, like society has failed them and they are starving and that's the only option they have. But like if there's something else like psychologically that's like screwed up or something that's out of their control that is causing them to hurt other people, would it be unethical to go in and change that, or more unethical to just put them through the usual systems we already have?
I mean, I don't like the systems we have to any degree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I would really have to think about that. Could be a that could be a topic for another video in itself, like the idea of individual autonomy. I
would think that like it, in my mind, like it would have to come through the I don't want, what am I trying to say? Through the field of like mental illness and not the field of like crime and like policing, because I could see that getting really bad if it's up to the police to decide who needs to have their brain rewired. But like if it's the mental illness field and like the health industry, then rewiring someone's brain just sounds really wrong. But like basically treating mental illness, because like a lot of times it's either like a lot of crimes are out of necessity or through mental illness, and like we never end up treating the mental illness. We just throw them in prison or punish them, like, and to me that doesn't do anything because they still have the mental illness and you have done nothing to help them with that. And so like I think either way it kind of needs to be like treated
when you
in
break
that regard.
Down a lot of crimes, there's a lot of crimes that could be solved with just economic policies, or even social policies. That's also like a whole other topic in its own.
It sounds like we need to just do an episode about just just lean into it and do an episode about economics, socialism, communism.
Just do an episode
Capitalism.
of communist propaganda.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, yes.
He's so ready for this.
I spread it everywhere I go.
Yeah.
It's okay. But yeah, so
I mean, I'm not
how are
even
you
totally
guys,
sold on it. So I'd be interested in the conversation.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, how are you guys looking forward to Christmas or whatever? Are we
Holidays.
celebrating
that thing.
Christmas? Are we,
Yeah.
are we doing one of the others?
Christmas on my end, I'll go first since I don't know, it's probably gonna be a little boring.
Go for it.
But I don't know exactly what to expect. I don't expect things to be like too dramatic. I really appreciate my wife. I feel bad for the amount of damage control she's had to do, but with the damage control she has done, I feel like she has managed to preserve a lot of the rapport and relationship between me and my family. My mom has also been an awesome champion of just making sure that people within our family just don't go around condemning each other and
Yeah.
recognize, like, she makes sure to bring up the whole biblical passage about how it's none of our business who's going to heaven, who's going to hell. And so we shouldn't be looking at anybody judgmentally in that way. That's speaking from her worldview. But she's been a champion of that. She's been defending me in that way and helping keep people in check and helping people check their pride. So I feel I don't anticipate that things will be too tough. And I still have complete respect for like Christian beliefs and traditions. So I don't feel like I'm going to be feeling too uncomfortable in that, so long as it's not like made awkward by anyone else.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a relatively similar Christmas. I think I'm fortunate in that regard. But I recognize that that's not going to be the case for a lot of people, and that's tough. And I'm curious what you guys' anticipations or bracings are for the coming holidays.
Yeah.
My parents are actually going to be out of town for Christmas, so I am not. I will have them back later this month, and then we'll do Christmas as like a family. But yeah, I don't know. I
Is that
expect to
same for
hear
you, Micah?
something about the birth of Jesus or something like that, and then probably not much else about it, honestly. So
yeah. I mean, that's somewhat how our Christmases would go anyway. We'd spend a little time like reading the Bible passages or something, and then we would just get on with our, I guess, hanging out and like making gingerbread cookie. Oh, we're probably gonna have a gingerbread house competition again. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I don't know what to expect, honestly. I think that for the most part, it's going to be somewhat normal, but I think it's going to be slightly I think for both sets of families, like, I don't want to say walking on eggshells, but like trying to feel out like, what is this new normal going to be like? Because both sets of families kind of know where we are a little bit and kind of know that we're like, yeah, we don't really necessarily believe in God anymore. And if we do, then definitely not in that way. And so I don't know. My in-laws have been like very, very good about it. And so I don't think that'll be weird. I think it might be weird with some grandparents because they're a lot more like, well, they don't know, for one, which is good. But also, I just fear maybe what things will be said or questions will be had. But, and especially now, like, I feel like I'm starting to, I don't want to say, well, kind of uncover more like triggers within me and like more like trauma that I didn't know I had. And so like I don't anticipate that I will hopefully have to uncover more during this season, but I might. And I don't know what that's gonna look like. So I'm like, I don't want to say I'm nervous, but I just think it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But it'll be good to be with family. Like I love being around my family and like hanging out. So like I'm excited to see everybody and eat some good food and do all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I'm a little nervous because this would be the first Christmas to happen since like the publication, I guess, of where I am spiritually.
yeah,
And I know that there's a lot of people out there within the deconstruction community and within the atheistic community who just dread this time of year.
yeah,
And that's probably because of the first Christmas after they went public with their position. So hopefully it doesn't live up to that history that a lot of other people have validly experienced. And
yeah,
I feel really bad that they've had to go through that. But I think one way or another, if it does go really poorly, at least I'll be able to relate to that position more. But if it doesn't, then I think that that kind of brings hope that
yeah,
you can go through this. Uh, in perhaps rare circumstances, I recognize that there's other people. It might not be, it might not go so well, but I don't think it's hopeless that you might be able to go through this whole journey, but still be able to preserve the relationships. Granted, some relationships might not be worth preserving, but
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean they all have to go.
definitely. Yeah. Josiah, did you say anything, Josiah? Or you kind of just
No,
said
no, no,
you
no.
thought it'd be normal?
I was I am just kind of holding on to no expectations. I'm gonna try to resist the urge to say happy holidays in front of our parents.
Yeah.
Which, why do we say that? Because there's also Kwanzaa that happens on the 26th and goes for 7 days. And Kwanzaa is a really cool holiday about like community and supporting those around you and stuff like that. And
Hanukkah's happening right now, isn't it?
Hanukkah ended on the 6th. It's
Oh,
like
my
it's
bad.
it's the Jewish calendar is different. It will be happening around this time next year, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought it shifted around. Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of shifts around. But Hanukkah is a holiday about war and
Yeah.
victory and revolution,
It's
and
a pretty
I love
cool
it.
one.
It's it's about a successful revolution, which is just every communist dreams. So,
Fun.
Oh my gosh.
so I'm not saying that I'm going to be appropriating Hanukkah next year, but I am saying thank you all for bringing that holiday to the world. Any Jewish people out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any holidays that are falling on the 25th specifically?
I think that I don't know. There's also
Apart from
Yule, but I think
Christmas?
that happens on the 21st. And from what I remember from my pagan friend, it lasts for a few days. But Yule is, I don't actually remember what Yule is about. I didn't look that one up because I actually knew somebody that celebrated it. Oh, it's still going on. It ends on the 1st.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so maybe maybe this would be one of those few times when you could legitimately just say Merry Christmas and not be neglecting any other holidays that are going on, but Yule is going on.
Yeah, so Yule
There you go.
also occurs on the same day. Yeah, my position on it is like, if I know that somebody's celebrating a particular holiday, then I will say that holiday to them. But if not, then I just say
Yeah,
happy
that's what I was
holidays.
actually just about to say. So I am in that same boat.
It's
Let me
definitely going to
see.
be.
Celebration of the Wild Hunt. That sounds pretty cool.
Ooh. Yeah, because I think, what is it? The 21st is the first day of winter.
Yeah,
So,
it's a winter solstice celebration.
so it makes sense that there's celebrations there. For me, I've been thinking about how, like, every Christmas, pretty much, I have been a part of some kind of, like, church service, Christmas Eve service, where I
Production.
was either, like, playing in it or singing in it, or, like, the last 2 years, like previous to this year, I planned the entire thing basically and put it on, like, basically not myself, but like I was the one in charge of the Christmas Eve service. And like this year I am not. And that's weird. Like there just used to be so much stress like leading up to Christmas because it was like this huge production that I had to like put together, or like a huge production I had to be a part of. And this year I'm just kind of like rolling into Christmas and I'm like, it's the 19th today? Like what the heck? Um like Christmas is almost here and I've like hardly felt anything, and that's cuz I'm so used to that like stress of like this huge thing coming up, and now it's just like a holiday where I get to just like enjoy, I guess, and spend time with family and not have that kind of stress. Like it's a different kind of stress happening right now, but it's interesting. Like it's just like weird. It's gonna be different, and I think it's gonna be nice to not have that.
Well, I guess in a way, you kind of had a similar-ish kind of thing happen recently, in terms of like production slash. I guess it wouldn't be production, but like thing, like a organized effort.
Yeah,
Decon. You spoke at Decon recently,
I
and
did.
I haven't heard how that went. And I also had to attend to my children, so I wasn't able to attend. But how did that go?
Yeah, Decon 2021. I think it went well. I obviously have had no time because I've been 24/7 at the house, just well, at work and then at the house, trying to get it ready to move into. But I was able to listen to some of the speakers, and I think it went really well. I think it was received very well, and I think my talk went well. From kind of what I had heard from just like a couple people. Well, like I don't know. I hope it was
Mm-hmm.
received well. I kind of talked about um how basically how to decolonize and decenter yourselves in conversations. And I kind of just talked about what it means to center yourself and like basically some tools we could have to like not do that in conversations. And then went through some scenarios and was like scenarios that I've seen quite a bit, and just kind of pointed out like this is how this happens, and not just in racial conversations, but like colonization is something that's in like it's in race, it's in gender identity, it's in like ableism, and like it's the patriarchy, like it's like something that kind of weaves itself into everything. And so I kind of tried to touch on some of the big points of that and like be like, hey, this is how, if you are one of the people of privilege in the conversation, how to not put yourself at the center of it because it's not about you.
Mm.
And I hope it was received well. I don't know. I honestly have not got much feedback at all. So that could
Is
be
there a recording of it?
yeah. There is, but I think you would have had to buy tickets for it.
Gotcha.
And I think if you bought tickets, you could have access for 30 days. So I have access to it. So I could maybe, if you want to watch any part of it, then I could send you my login information or something. I don't know. I need to figure out how to get back on that website. But yeah.
All right. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to listen to it at some point if that's a thing that can be done.
Yeah, that
But
that was
yeah,
a
I'm
big
glad that went well for you, man.
yeah, that was kind of a big deal, and it was very stressful because I had to really squeeze in time to like prepare for it and then even be there, and like with just all that's going on right now, it was kind of rough. But I think all things considered, like it went really well. I wish that I could have had more time to prepare, but I think I had enough time to prepare.
Well, that's
Ooh.
good. I would have shown up, but I was depressed that day and I forgot about everything.
That's okay.
It happens.
Just melted into the wall for a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to become inanimate. It just has to happen.
Yeah. Sometimes you must become one with couch.
Yeah.
And then I made eggnog, I think. Something like that.
Nice.
This is the
It's
solution.
really good. The eggnog is really good. I need to make another batch, but I need to try making a dairy-free batch. for
me.
somebody in this room who will absolutely like blow his guts out if he has any dairy.
Well, if I have too much, but it'll just hurt.
If you
will-
have if you have the eggnog that I made, it will hurt.
Yeah, I bet. So,
Yeah. And also your wife will die. So, yeah.
yeah, probably. She will get sick, very sick.
Except like literally die because she's actually allergic to dairy.
But I don't know. She wouldn't literally die. She would get really sick, but I don't know.
It'd be bad.
It'd be bad. So what encouragements could we throw out for some people heading into the holidays and uplifting things, like we've talked about a lot of bad things going on in life, but that is part of life. So I think it's okay to be real about all those things. But what are some encouraging things we can say?
I think that one of the things is I think I hear this a lot from a lot of different people. So this might just be me parroting kind of what I've heard. But the holidays may be coming up, but you still don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe your family a relationship. You do not owe them your presence, and your boundaries are still valid. So find the people who respect your boundaries, and engage in community with those who, if at all possible, with those who accept you. And if that's not something that's accessible to you right now, then pamper yourself.
Yeah, that's good advice, because I think there is a sense of like, it's my family, so I owe them something. And that's, we're not trying to say anything like screw your family, like it's the idea that like you can still stand up for yourself, and like you still get to decide how you engage with people, and like you don't have to compromise yourself just because it's the holiday season. I think that's what you were trying to say, pretty much. Well, no, you did say it. I'm just echoing what you said.
Yeah, definitely.
And no, that's good. At the same time, like at least for me, I don't feel the need to, like, I still want to have positive relationships with family. And I know for a lot of people that isn't always an option, because they might, just for the sheer fact of questioning beliefs, or even if you're still a Christian and you just believe something different, like maybe you don't believe in hell or something, that can be in their mind a reason for them to basically ostracize you and treat you poorly. And so that's not always feasible to keep that healthy relationship. But for me personally, I don't really want to like start drama, because like at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think it's worth it to do that, at least not for me right now. I think that my relationship with family is more valuable than me trying to be right in a argument, in a conversation. And so, I try to just let people believe what they need to believe and what is helpful for them. And so I don't need to come in the holidays and be like, hey, did you know, like, and try to like, I don't know. Will there be conversations at all engaging?
Actually, every conversation.
Yeah. There are conversations that might come up, and I'll just be honest. But I don't want to like fight people, I guess. And so, I think that's something that, like, you can easily get the feeling, especially coming out of a black and white thinking evangelical mindset, that like being right is really important. And that can translate even into like trying to drop that and trying to like deconstruct that part of your faith. But you don't have to be right. You don't have to prove to someone else that they're wrong. Like, it's okay for you to just think they're wrong and just move on, So that's what I'm going to try to do this season, and just enjoy time with family. That's what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah. I was actually on a pretty similar track to what you were thinking. I was just gonna say it's okay to have like nuance around these sorts of things. Like me, I'm say I came into this like, yeah, it's just capitalist interests or whatever, just like putting money in pockets or whatever of like big corporations. But I also really enjoy the aesthetic of Christmas. And I think Christmas is kind of a cute holiday, and I don't really have bad memories of it. So I kind of enjoy like the idea of still celebrating it to a degree. And it's okay for me to have that ideological inconsistency in my life. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have those sorts of inconsistencies where you just are like, I'll just celebrate it. Well, if you're like a non-confrontational person like me, it's definitely okay to
Yeah.
to just be like, yeah, I kind of entertaining this is kind of fun, or entertaining this is fine, or whatever, you know. I don't need to convince anybody that the problem is, you know, money or whatever, or like the pressure to buy people things this season.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be black and white, kind of like what you were saying, Micah, is that it doesn't, we don't have to live in a black and white thinking. We can just kind of hit that gray area and not really know where we are, and just kind of like chase the dopamine moment to moment or whatever.
Yeah.
And just kind of see what happens.
Yeah. It's hard for people to
take
leave
it
that.
easy on yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave that, but yeah, take it easy on yourself.
Yeah. This world is not black and white. It's not all or nothing. And so we don't have to live like it is. But that mindset just gets it's very easy to just keep that mindset, I guess. But I think that's a big part of my deconstruction, and I think it should be a big part of a lot of people's deconstruction, because that mindset is just, it's not consistent with reality, and it's also pretty damaging. No matter whatever worldview you have, any black and white kind of all or nothing thinking always ends up hurting people, and just I don't think it's helpful. So
It also hurts you.
Yeah.
it does.
Black
Yeah.
and white thinking will do damage to your own psyche and life. I've known people that are incapable of thinking with nuance, and they just live in like boundaries that don't need to be there and stress themselves out, and it's just all entirely unnecessary.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunately it's unfortunate how widespread that mentality is. But yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Cool. That'd be nice. Well,
yeah. Where can people find us, everybody? Oh, hey, by the way, you're not gonna be able to find us 2 weeks from now. We're taking a break. I think we're gonna transition seasons. So
yeah.
we'll see you everybody after the holidays. Now, where can people find us in 4 weeks?
Yes. You can find me at Pondering Together on TikTok. That is my main thing that I invest time into. As far as things that people can see from me.
I'm at Something Matters on TikTok. I will probably post there sometime.
And I am at Truth Voyager on TikTok. It is presently private, but if you want to follow me, you can send a request. I don't know if I'm going to be pushing out any new content in the near future. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But you can also find me here, which you already have. I have a video game on the App Store called Zompao 2. You can check that out. That's cool.
Hey.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
It's been out there for a while, but it hasn't gone anywhere. So
nice. Well, happy holidays.
If you want to support us, there's a link in the description.
Nice. Good catch.
Yeah.
Well, happy holidays, everyone. I hope that your season is filled with, I guess, whatever you need it to be filled with. I'd like to say
I
joy,
just
but
like
Yes.
physically did a sign off, and then I realized that nobody can see that.
well, happy holidays, happy New Year. We will see y'all and talk to y'all again in about 4 weeks.
Yep, sounds good.
Happy
See you
holidays,
later.
everybody.
Happy holidays.
Catch y'all next time.
But we're about to run out of time, so I'm gonna have to restart this thing.
Oh my gosh.
And then I guess let's try to
And then roll into the true meaning of Christmas.
yeah.
The true meaning of Christmas. Don't buy cars.
Don't yeah.
Public
No, the true
transport.
meaning of Christmas is, of course, as it has always been, to buy a bunch of stuff and support capitalism. And even the charities that are done at the end of the year for Christmas purposes are just for end of year write-offs.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, support capitalism.
Watch the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch and realize that The Grinch and Cindy Lou
The
Who,
Grinch was always right.
Yeah, The Grinch was right, but also was wrong. Because the true meaning of Christmas is not being with other people you love. Okay, I'm going to end this. And then we'll
All right,
restart.
Okay.
we're gonna come back into the. Let's do this music transition.
All right. Do.
Dun, 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 dun.